We will open now the space for you.
Thank you. My question actually was about codes and patterns, and
We know.
what I, what I was wondering are there metaphors or ways to describe codes and patterns?
Let us see how we can address these. So, there are two ways that you can look at it. As patterns emerging, as you zoom out and zoom out and zoom out, and those patterns can actually emerge in space time as you know it, or you can see, understand, comprehend the patterns by raising in frequency, not zooming out in space, but now just raising in frequency, becoming closer and closer to source layer output and seeing the patterns this way. So if we explain the patterns regarding the space where you can zoom out, you can even think of the planets and the stars. You know, everything circles around itself, around other objects, around greater objects, around greater objects and greater objects. Yes, everything is always in motion. And if you were able to zoom out and zoom out and zoom out and see your space, you would start seeing complex and beautiful multidimensional patterns emerging from all the different circles and ellipses and shapes that are happening. And you could imagine a beautiful mandala appearing in front of your eyes as you gain more and more clarity into the shape of everything. And of course, this works on a very small scale if you look at atoms and molecules, but also at a large scale if you look at the planetary and stellar movement of all things. Not coincidentally, the same patterns arise when you, as we mentioned in the second example, rise in frequency. The more you rise in frequency, the less physical dense things are, and the more consciousness dense they are. You may see those as the yin and the yang symbol. So the more there's one, the less there's other, in proportion, in perception. Now, as you raise in frequency and material matter becomes less and less obvious, at some point in higher dimension, matter does not exist at all as you know it, and all representation of matter are symbolic. In that level is where you see light codes as actual codes, which often are geometric patterns. You may say that is the organization of consciousness as it parallels light that then turns into matter. So on a very high frequency, or as we mentioned, a layer that's closer to source, those geometric patterns would appear once again. And as you can imagine, it's endless how many patterns there are. And those also change depending on what you look at. So you can imagine all that is in infinite geometric patterns and infinite dimensions and infinite shapes. And you can then focus on specific areas, highlighting then a specific pattern to come up to the surface. In relation to what we mentioned before, if you were able to see yourself out of body, you would see that you have many, many, many bodies. And those are just of this dimension, of this, a part of this dimension. This is the closest we can explain it. But if you went above those, you have many more bodies, but those look less and less like what you expect a body to look like, and more as different geometries, fields, and functions that fall essentially in a certain pathway that creates certain geometric patterns.
No, that was helpful. Thank you.